Hello again, welcome back to another edition of the Roar Report. I am your Royal 2IC. Today we're going to take a little dive into fifth generation warfare. And so I want to bring this in because there's a lot of people that maybe have heard the term but don't quite know what fifth generation warfare is. And so I want to try and do a small, quick overview of fifth generation warfare and how it really can impact the preparedness strategies and kind of give a overview of the tactics and techniques that you need to know that goes on during fifth generation warfare, if I can say that correctly. So uh, let's just jump right in. So fifth generation warfare really represents a new era of conflict. It's a technological kind of driven warfare, and kind of an informational warfare. We really have to try to adapt our ways of prepping and our prepping game, so to speak, to kind of anticipate and respond to a really rapidly growing landscape. I'm going to try and do my best and kind of provide some insights and see if I can help you guys learn a little bit and prepare in kind of a new modern battlefield. And so we'll go ahead and get started with trying to understand what fifth generation warfare is. Um, and we'll try and understand some of the core concepts and principles behind it. And so, really, to start, what is fifth generation warfare? Um, Fifth generation warfare is kind of a shift in the way that they conduct warfare. It gets away from kind of the traditional, conventional tactics that we've all kind of learned. Um, first generation warfare goes through the days of old, to where you dressed up and you basically formed a line and you took turns volleying shots as gentlemen, and it proceeded from there. S2 Underground put out a video on fifth generation warfare that really takes a monstrous deep dive into it. So if you want to learn more after this video, I really strongly encourage you to go check that out. Um, so fifth generation warfare really kind of emphasizes non-state actors, if I can go that far. Um, it's kind of conducted primarily through mostly non-kinetic military action. Things like social engineering, misinformation, disinformation, cyber attacks, and then they bring in use of modern and advanced technologies like AI and autonomous, systems and vehicles and things like that. Back in the days of old, there was very clear battle lines drawn. We fight in this area. This is where we conduct our military operations, and for the most part, civilians stayed out of it. There was pretty much always some sort of civilian casualty that get caught in the crossfire or something along those lines. Uh, with new fifth generation warfare in a way that is technology driven, it really brings in the scary part that most of us in society either own, use on a day to day basis for either work or personal, some sort of technology. And really, in fifth generation warfare, there's no technology that is off limits, thus making you a digital soldier, whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not. Um, and really, that kind of means that the battlefield's expanding. Um, Things like disinformation, fake news, propaganda, it all plays a really significant role now. Um, and it makes it difficult because if you don't understand it well enough, it makes it very hard to spot it and how to counter it. And really, the best way to do that is to try and stay as best informed as you possibly can. So that way, in a time of crisis, when something happens, well informed people make usually better decisions. Um, People that don't understand what's going on fall for it, and usually that makes them make a decision in a fear driven state of emotional panic that really puts them in a really bad spot, if not the worst spot. Um, so, information warfare has really become kind of a prominent aspect of fifth generation warfare. Um, and it's really an effective tactic that influences individuals as well as public opinion, bringing discord and manipulating perception and things like that. Um, Being able to recognize all that, like I said, is really crucial. Us as preppers really need to use critical thinking skills and our own fact checking methods to be able to try and differentiate between what's reliable and what's false by staying better informed as much as you possibly can. That's really the only way to resist and counter that kind of influence in warfare. Um, Really building a strong, how do you want to put this, like a strong network, establishing some sort of communications channels within a prepping community is a great way to counter this. Working together, being able to share accurate information, being able to help each other verify and address misconceptions, um, because it's going to be one of those ones where it's going to be hard to do as a lone wolf. You're going to want to be able to do this together. More people doing research and looking into things, the better somebody's going to be able to spot something, and everybody can work together. And I know I'll get pushback. Technology is a real double-edged sword, if I can go that far. The possibilities of having AI and technology makes your life easier, can make it even more easier, give you a lot more comforts and things like that. So the potential for good and usefulness is there. But at the same time, there's so many threats that you can face. That's anything from cyber attacks, social engineering programs, mass surveillance. Uh, I mean, those things we have to try and figure out some sort of a safeguard in our digital presence, I suppose, be able to protect ourselves when we use technology and we're in the digital world. I would suppose some examples would be things like using a VPN, watching what you post on social media. Make sure that when you are posting pictures that you take care of what's in the background, what you post underneath the pictures, the captions. Don't give away any personal information to anybody that can use against you. Now I understand, yes, just about everything can be used against you, but remember OPSEC when you're doing all this. Um, Also, trying to create really strong passwords, two-step verification. I know that you can get by all that. It's like anything else. If somebody wants in it bad enough, they're going to get in. Your front door, as many locks as you possibly want on it. If somebody wants into it, they're going to get into it. All it does is it slows it down. It's like the lock on your car door. All that is to keep an honest man honest. If somebody wants in your car, they're getting in your car. But circling back, um, there's a lot of things that are going to be challenged, a lot of methods that will be challenged by unconventional warfare. Um, as I mentioned, the days of old where you line up and volley shot back and forth as gentlemen is far from over. It kind of brings back into me the phrase "all is fair in love and war," and that kind of rings true into this because when your life is on the line, uh, all those policies and rules and all that, it goes out the window. Being able to stay alive versus being in trouble. For most people, you're going to do what you have to do to stay alive. Um, and if you really know your history, um, when we were founding this country, we took on a whole different fighting style, fighting the British, and we learned that it helped really kind of even the odds and really made it possible for us to win that war. And so that fighting style kind of brings up another phrase. Uh, uh, a little bit, you kind of have to bear with me. It's a little bit of a stretch, but a gun behind every blade of grass. That I think us preppers need to understand uh, the practices that they use and the reasons why they wanted a well armed citizen. Um, and the things that we used back then, the powers of camouflage technique, stealth movement, small unit operations, things like hit and run tactics, ambush, sabotage. It's all really effective things, that they use in today. It's ways that you can counteract uh, third, fourth, fifth generation warfare. Um, then it brings up counterinsurgencies. So when you're talking about that, they have different strategies, and for the most part, most of your insurgencies and counterinsurgencies, they want to win the hearts and minds of the local population, wherever they're setting up shop, and they're going to do that by trying to do what they can to build trust with the community, have a better relationship. Um, they're going to try and provide some sort of essential services, try and give people some of the needs, things like that. And so I want to mention that to try and do my best so that way you can understand that creating that self sufficient lifestyle, and by creating teams, groups, tribes, mags, whatever we're going to call it, um, really puts you in a better spot and more capable to handle a rapidly changing situation that will minimize your risks and vulnerabilities. To go it alone, and I've talked about this a lot, don't lone wolf this. It's better to be in that group, and it's better to find that group sooner rather than later. If you do it sooner, you're going to be able to have a better chance to pick the right people and quality people versus later on, you may not get to choose your group. Um, Equally as important is going to be communications. Communication is going to be a very, very key factor in any SHTF situation. It's important to have some sort of secure communications, um, any sort of method like encryptions, something that makes it to where it's hard to be intercepted or tampered with. Um, Building reliable networks, being able to establish secure lines of communications. Um, it's going to help you maintain to a level of efficiency that is going to kind of be key in survival. Um, Remembering that communications and logistics wins war. Um, I'm hoping that later on I can do a deeper dive into fifth generation warfare. I don't know if I can do as good of a job as I've mentioned as what S2 Underground did. If I can find their video, I'll try and link it below so that we can see it. It's a long video, but it's well worth it. Um, because I really think that understanding and at least getting it out there to the people that don't know what fifth generation warfare is, or maybe have only heard the term, um, there's a lot of implications in this. There's a new digital battlefield being drawn. we're going to have to learn how to not only prepare for that, but how to adapt and overcome. It's one of those ones, my childhood, knowledge is power. And to be able to understand what's going on, understand that it is going on, and understanding what you can do about it and how to sidestep it, avoid it, anything along those lines. Um, but I want to try and keep this a little bit short. Hopefully, you found this somewhat informative. Make sure you do all the fun YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, ring the little bell for notifications so that way I can do my best to try and keep you guys as prepared and as informed as possible. I hope that everybody stays safe, stays vigilant, keeps on prepping. And with that, I'm going to tell you to remember to remain united.